Okay. If everybody will find their places and take a seat, and we'll get ready to start. Woohoo, what a great crowd. Welcome to the August 21st, 2018 meeting of the Lexington 1 Board of Trustees. Today was the first day of the 2018-2019 school year for students in Lexington 1. We really don't have official stats, and I know Dr. Little's going to talk a little bit about this later, so I won't steal any of his information, but I know that we welcomed over 26,000 students with the help of 3,999 employees. That would be teachers and staff and bus drivers and nurses and counselors and all of that. And just from the board, we want to thank all of you that made this a great first day for students and a smooth opening. Let's give them a round of applause. And I would also be remiss to the parents in this room if I didn't commend you on your patience in the drop-off and pickup line. And you know that it takes a couple of weeks, but it gets better and better. So we appreciate you exercising all that patience, for sure. We have a special guest with us tonight. His name is Zachary Culler. Is Zachary, and he's at the back. Zachary is with, yep. Hey, Zachary. He's with Troop 518, and he's working on his citizenship and community badge, and we are glad to have you here tonight. So with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn executive session and begin the general session? Okay, thank you, Dr. Pitts. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. I'd now like to call to order the general session. We want to notify you that the district tapes this meeting for accuracy in preparing minutes, and the district is in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act by notifying the media of the date, time, and place of the meeting. At this time, we'd like to go to Mr. Anderson, who will have our invocation.
Let us pray. God of our past, our present, and our future, God of our dreams, our designs, and our decisions, be love in us as we journey through this new school year. Be our inner vision that we may see life through your eyes. Be our inner hearing that we may listen well for your call. Be our inner judgment so that we may discern clearly that which gives life, promotes growth, and nurtures love. As we move into this school year, fill us with hope and abiding trust that you dwell in us, so that in both joy and sorrow we radiate hope. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Board members, you have an agenda before you. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Green. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Item 6.0 are the approval of the minutes of the July 17th and August 7th, 2018 board meetings. Board members, you were provided draft minutes for review and approval other than the corrections that we have already provided. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the meeting? Okay. Hearing none, the minutes will be accepted as received. 7.0 are reports and action items from executive session. Do I hear a motion to approve 11 certified recommendations for the 2018-2019 academic year?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of Human Resources for 11 certified positions for the 2018-2019 school year.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Any discussion? Then we'll take a vote. All in favor of 11 certified recommendations?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. At this time, One of our favorite times of our meeting, we're going to ask Dr. Little to step down for honors and achievements. So, honorees, when we call your names, come and stand with Dr. Little while we tell the audience about your awards. We celebrate the successes of many kinds during the honors and achievement portion of our monthly board meeting. We recognize students who have won first, second, or third place national level awards and first place state level awards, the significant achievements of our employees, and the contributions of and partnerships with our business partners and community organizations. Students began school today, and we happily celebrate our students and staff achievements tonight. We feature the students, staff, and schools we recognize in our the pamphlet, the Proof Positive newsletter. If you did not pick one up when you signed in tonight, do that on your way out. It makes a great keepsake for our honorees and for their families. In fact, you are welcome to take an extra copy home for any family members who could not be here. Audience, you need to know that we will recognize honorees in a different order than what you see in Proof Positive. If you try to follow along in the newsletter, you may need to skip back and forth from page to page. And finally, we ask that you please stay until we finish recognizing all of tonight's award recipients, as each award winner deserves our undivided attention. Once we finish with these awards, the awards portion of the meeting, we will give you a chance to leave before we resume the rest of the board meeting. And we do this in order to accommodate our youngest honorees and their families. So the first of tonight's recognitions comes to us all the way from Washington, D.C. Lexington High School senior, Hoda Abdallah. Please join Dr. Little while we tell everyone about your accomplishments. Hoda attended Palmetto Girls State this summer, where her fellow delegates chose her to serve as mayor of the city she represented and elected her to the Palmetto Girls State Senate. In July, as one of the 2 South Carolina representatives, Hoda attended the American Legion Auxiliary Girls Nation held in Washington, D.C. In an election at the end of the leadership retreat, the delegates from all of the states voted and chose Hoda to represent them as president of Girls Nation. Hoda is a HOSA state officer, president of Lexington High School Spanish Honor Society, and a Million Women Mentors South Carolina student leader, as well as editor-in-chief of the school's yearbook. So Hoda, we cannot wait to see what else you accomplished this year. Congratulations. So our next honorees took on the rest of the world this summer to bring home a soccer championship. Meadow Glen Elementary's Fulmer Bickley, Pleasant Hill Elementary's Ryan Robbins, and Pleasant Hill Middle's Laurel Walls stayed busy during the summer months competing on the Lexington-based soccer team Loco Ocho. Loco Ocho played in the Cover National Cup Finals, defeating teams from North and South Carolina to win the rest of the world division. Laurel scored 1 point on a penalty kick in the first game, giving Loco Ocho their first win of the tournament. Fulmer scored 1 goal in Game 2, followed by 2 goals in Game 3. And in the final game, Ryan scored 2 points on a long-distance shot, clinching Loco Ocho's championship. Congratulations to these soccer stars. So speaking of stars, if Gilbert High's Kimberly Rauch and Pillion High's Savannah Poole are here, please come forward. Culminating their high school FFA careers, Savannah received the Star Award in Agricultural Placement, while Kimberly received the FFA Star Farmer Award. These are some of the highest honors presented by the South Carolina FFA Association in recognition of outstanding agricultural work experience and leadership. Savannah managed the Pillion High School's Agribusiness Center farm as part of her co-op experience, in addition to serving as Pillion High's 2017-2018 FFA Chapter President. Kimberly served as president of Gilbert High's FFA chapter during the 2017-2018 school year and actively led the chapter throughout the year. Congratulations. Connor Mills' marksmanship and academics earned him a spot on the Scholastic Shooting Sports Foundation and National Rifle Association competitive shooting sports on the all-scholastic team. A recent River Bluff High graduate, Connor competes as part of the Mid-Carolina Youth Shooting Team. The all-scholastic team recognizes students from 25 states who earn a 3.0 or better grade point average, as well as high scores in events including skeet and sporting clays. Connor helped the Mid-Carolina Youth Shooting Team win the Governor's Cup by shooting a 97 in the 100-target sporting clays event. He also won the South Carolina Youth Shooting Foundation State Championship this season with the highest score among the seniors. Congratulations. The Lexington County Wildcats track and field team found this a speedy summer. Students, please come to the very front of the room. Students representing South Carolina at the USA Track and Field Region 4 Junior Olympic Track and Field Championship include Gilbert Elementary School's William Smith. Come on down. Midway Elementary's Caroline Neer. Pleasant Hill Elementary's Ryan Robbins. Pleasant Hill Middle's Gabrielle Barahona. Red Bank Elementary's Asher Owens, White Knoll Elementary's Elena Bush, and White Knoll Middle's Travion Harris. These 7 students qualified in multiple events from long jump to the 100-meter dash. Competing against athletes from throughout the Southeast, the Lexington County Wildcats ran and jumped to personal best at the Region 4 Junior Olympic Track and Field Championship. Congratulations on all of your accomplishments. Keep it up, keep it up. So moving to our staff recognitions tonight, we recognize a trio of White Knoll teachers, Elizabeth Lott, come on down, Tiffany Miller, and Dee Pukel. They submitted an article to the Educational Leadership magazine published by the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. You can read their article called Reclaiming Your Time in the July 2018 issue. They share how they manage limited classroom time by leveraging technology, using the flipped classroom model, and monitoring student comprehension through small group instruction. Collaborating to write the article reflects how they join forces to improve instruction every day. Thank you for sharing your expertise with the 135 educational leadership readers. Our teachers continuously look for creative ways to bring new ideas and materials into their classrooms. Many of them use DonorsChoose.org to request donations. Online donors recently helped the following teachers: Carolina Springs Elementary's Drew Longside, Brittany Tallwin, and Bianca Warder, Gilbert Middle's David Chestnut, Lynn Marie Heelan and Kristen Kirby, and Gilbert Primary's Kayla McGill. Using donations from DonorsChoose.org, these teachers purchased a 3D printer and robots for STEM projects, sewing materials for a textiles project, and ukuleles, which allow students to explore the world of music. Thank you, teachers, for going the extra mile for your students. Love all those creative ideas of funding ideas. As part of Gilbert Middle School's participation in Google for Education's Dynamic Learning Project, Jennifer Bird recently became a Google Certified Trainer. Ms. Bird earned her Google Certified Trainer certification by completing multiple online courses, training sessions, and assessments. She created videos demonstrating how she would train her peers to use Google's tools. She can now do just that, teach fellow educators how to transform their classrooms with technology. Congratulations, Mrs. Bird. While watching WIS TV, did you catch a glimpse of Carissa Cockrell from Carolina Springs Elementary? Many of us did. Ms. Cockrell and her husband David recently received the Mungo Community Builder Award, which recognizes people making a difference in their community. For the past 10 years, the Cockrells organized and hosted Camp Talk, a social skills camp for children on the autism spectrum. The camp helps children from the Midlands, Orangeburg, Newberry, and Charlotte build new social skills and friendships while trying new experiences. Volunteers at the camp include many of our own Lexington District 1 teachers. We salute the Cockrells and their dedication to children. Oh, yes, come on up, come on up. Sixth graders at Carolina Springs Middle enjoyed a special performance of Stone Soup this spring thanks to theater arts teacher Jennifer Simmons. Ms. Simmons wrote a grant request focused on giving her students a professional theater production experience. The $500 she won from South Carolina State Federal Credit Union's Teacher Grant Program allowed Carolina Springs Middle School to invite the Columbia Children's Theater to perform for the entire sixth grade. What a great idea, and congratulations, Ms. Simmons. Two of our schools received awards from the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control for doing their part to preserve the planet by keeping their schools green. Meadow Glen Elementary's Jean McKinney and River Bluff High's Amy Price led recycling and air quality improvement projects at their schools. Meadow Glen Elementary took an Outstanding School Recycling Program Award for students' efforts to recycle a broad range of materials. Last year, they recycled 75 pairs of shoes, 1,800 markers, as well as soda bottles and cardboard tubes to create student expeditionary learning displays. River Bluff won the Spare the Air Outstanding School Award. The students check the air quality index every morning. To improve indoor air quality, students brought air quality purifying plants in recycled cans to every classroom. River Bluff students also recycle plastic bags, weaving them together to create mats for homeless individuals. We celebrate both of these schools for setting examples for all of us. Food Service and Nutrition Field Supervisor Kathy Moss, Marketing Coordinator Ashley Summers, and Director Sally Nicholson won 3 national awards. The Food Service and Nutrition Office won the USDA Turn Up the Beat Bronze Level Award for its nutritious summer food program, Turn Up the Beat.
We want to see you
their
dance to it.
Yeah. for the summer food program, enabling cafeterias to remain open during the summer and staff to prepare and provide breakfast and lunch for students in need. The next 2 awards recognizes food service and nutrition staff for the outstanding social media marketing, the USDA's Best Practice Award for the Southeast region, and the School Breakfast Week contest sponsored by Kellogg's. Wow. Congratulations to our food service folks. Our next 4 presentations come from our community partners and the Educational Foundation. So if the Educational Foundation Executive Director, Julie Washburn, will come forward now to award Educational Education Bucks for Books Grant and then to introduce the rest of our awards tonight.
Can y'all hear me okay? Thank you. Is it on? You can hear me? Okay, good. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks to the Board of Trustees for allowing the foundation to be here. We have some great things to celebrate and present this evening. But first, I need to introduce to you and ask Simeon Bryant if he would please join me. Simeon is the Senior Global Commodity Manager with Harsco Rail, but more importantly, he is actually the chair of the Lexington One Educational Foundation. Simeon served in this capacity last year, and I appreciate him letting me twist his arm into doing it one more year. So he and the other group of volunteers who lead the board are a great group of individuals. Some are parents, former parents here in Lexington One, business community leaders, but they have the students at heart whenever they make decisions and do a great job in securing funds and then giving grants. So, but I'm going to pass the mic to Simeon.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Okay, as chairman of the foundation, I have the honor to be able to work with our board allocating funds in Lexington School District 1 each year. In this school year, no exception. Last year, our board learned about the state of South Carolina Read to Succeed initiative that recommends a certain number of books for each grade level in order for schools to address the literacy performance and implement a comprehensive system of support to ensure that South Carolina students graduate on time with the literacy skills they need to be successful in the future. Okay, and unfortunately, the state did not allocate the funds as the mandate goes, so the foundation leaders felt it was important area in which we could assist. I'd like to ask Dr. Gloria Talley, Chief Academic Officer for Lexington One, and Dr. Erica Bissell, Reading and Language Arts Coordinator for Lexington One, to join us up front, please.
Dr. Talley had a funeral to attend unexpectedly, but Dr. Bissell
On behalf of Lexington One Educational Foundation, we'd like to present a Bucks for Books grant of $25,500 to Lexington School District. This grant is to be divided among our 17 elementary schools in an effort to enhance classroom libraries for our elementary students and ultimately to support our literacy in our district. As you can see, I have a problem with literacy myself. Please note this is the second Bucks for Books grant the foundation is funded, so our board recognizes what an important area of need literacy is for all our students in Lexington School District 1, and we're excited to be able to support it again this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I appreciate everyone's patience as I get notes. The next honor I have in recognizing is Michelin North America. The local Michelin plant is extremely generous to Lexington School District 1 and the foundation in supporting us in a number of ways. We're very fortunate that even when turnover occurs in the leadership, the plant and its employees continue to support us. They have actually funded over the years a STEM lab at Meadow Glen Middle School. They continue to support us with events for the district and the foundation. And they also have a partnership with Red Bank Elementary and Saxgotha Elementary where they're mentors to the students. So we appreciate what they do. But tonight, I want to introduce you to Claude Lightsey. He is here. He's the area personnel manager for the Michelin US 5 plant. And he's also the Golden Apple administrator. And he's going to present the Michelin Golden Apple teacher grants tonight. These are offered each year. Michelin gives us, the foundation, a grant of $5,000 each year. It's divided up into 2 cycles of grants, and teachers are able to apply for funding for up to $250 to enhance their programs and educational opportunities for their kids. And it's really cool, some of the things they've done in the past, but Claude's going to have the joy of actually announcing the fall 2018 winners. So.
Thank you, Julie. It's a pleasure to be here tonight representing Michelin, but more so it's a pleasure to be here tonight to recognize some innovators, some teachers who have don't just accept the way things are, but try to appreciate Michelin, since our lifeblood is quality and innovation. So it's sort of a neat relationship here, the opportunity to help these teachers do the very thing that they want. With a very modest amount of funds, but with a lot of contact, a lot of students impacted and benefited by this. So without further ado, if you would please just come up. Helen Seifloff? Helen? No? Well, Helen had a project that centered around Ozobots, which are little robots, I take it, where 3 of those were purchased or will be purchased, and for helping the students learn how to program and code that. The next one is also from Fort Ponds Elementary. Matt Weber. Is Matt Weber? Matt here? Come on up, Matt. Matt's project centers around flexible seating, and is to purchase stability balls to enhance students' attention in class. Very good. The next one is Elizabeth Carter from Lexington Middle. Elizabeth? No? All right. Well, Elizabeth has a grant centered around countries around the world purchasing cultural videos for the 6th grade Spanish classes, impacting 115 students. Vicki Gradecki. Is Vicki here? And Vicki is from Lexington Middle, and her project is a sculpting project. Will create octagon inspired sculpting. Oh, okay. Well, that is nowhere near that. All right, there's another word here. That's not the word I was trying to pronounce, but at any rate, I wouldn't have gotten that one either. So, very well done. Thank you. The next teacher is from Meadow Glen Elementary, Shannon Fry. Shannon here? All right, Shannon. Shannon's project was a clean air planter artwork, taking the recycle can in around the school and putting artwork on it to beautify the area. We all know those receptacles are not the most sightly thing, but we're going to improve that there. Very good. The next one is Sarah Avila from Oak Grove Elementary. Is Sarah here? All right. Well, Sarah had a grant project called Reach for the Stars. It was special recognition prizes for students. And well, I don't see the grade there, but that was 80 students is her project to impact there. The next one is Ginger Hackett. Ginger Hackett from Saxagotha Elementary. All right. Ginger's grant is for a carnival STEAM night, hands-on investigations that promote science, technology, engineering, art, and technology. And that is reported to affect 770 students. It's a very, very big project, very good. The next is Haley Bolches and Katie Hooker from Saxagotha Elementary. Their project is called Building a Community of Friends, where learning positive communication tools through morning meetings, time morning meeting time and activities. Okay. Next is Beth Blanco. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. From White Knoll Elementary. The project is has to do with accessibility, with purchasing noise-canceling headphones. Finally, we have Danielle Tarvin from White Knoll High School. Danielle here? Here she comes. Danielle her project is around multimedia journalism to increase the multimedia and digital skills of students in journalism class through creation of podcast, radio broadcast, and commercials with equipment. Now, that sounds fun. Very good. Thank you. Well, that is the group, and just to summarize, this is again a rather small amount of money spread out with impacting over actually 1,684 students.
Wonderful.
That's a lot of impact. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks again to Michelin, a great partner, and to all of you for your creativity and projects to benefit our students.
Y'all haven't gotten rid of me yet. But now I have the honor of actually talking about a number of very loyal supporters to the district. Walter P. Rawl & Sons is a local company that started actually in 1925. The family started off selling peaches, but has grown to become a nationally recognized business that specializes in greens, is the largest producer of kale in the country, or one of. Well, I've heard that, we'll just say it out loud, so it's true now. But they specialize in greens and specialty vegetables, and they're a very big supporter of Lexington School District 1. They established a number of years ago school garden mini grants in an effort to teach our students about nutrition and diet. Through the creation of either a small garden in the school or some type of live plant project. But the Raw family is also a generous supporter of the foundation in other ways. They have a family scholarship, so we're very grateful to their continued support. And I want to ask Susan Clifton to come up and join me if she would. She is the Vice President for Finance and Accounting with WP Raw. And she's going to have the joy of actually awarding the grants for the fall cycle. And these are, like the Michelin, they're offered twice a year. WP Raw donates $5,000 to the foundation. They're a little bit different, though. The school can win up to $250 for an existing garden to sustain it, or $500 to create a new garden. So it's kind of a combination this cycle. So I'll pass the mic on over to Susan.
Thank you. Julie already mentioned a little bit about us, but we are a multi-generation family-owned agribusiness. We're headquartered in Pillion, but we started in Gilbert by my grandparents. I'm one of the third generation in our operation. We are a grower, processor, and shipper of fresh vegetables, and specifically leafy greens. And everybody knows the leafy greens, right? That's collard, mustard, turnip, and kale. And I don't think we're the largest kale grower shipper in the country, but we'll let you think that. Okay. So I'm here tonight representing our family, not just my Raw family and my Wingard and Clifton family, but our family of employees. Those are the folks who carry out our mission and our vision every day, and they're the ones who make it happen for us so that we could do this. We could give to the community like we're doing through the garden grant. So I'm proud to be here tonight representing them to present the grants. You know, this grant program, garden grant program, really came about. I'll give credit really where it's due, and that's to my brother, Charles Wingard. He's over our field operations in our company, and not to be funny, but really he planted the seed. He was very visionary about this and thought, why don't we give to the district in that way, to make a pledge to the district foundation for 5 years to establish these grants so that children really literally could plant seeds. And you educators are planting seeds for those children into the community, and then perhaps they will do the same thing in their way, whether it's literally or in whatever occupation they choose. So we're going to start with, okay, our first recipient is Haley Cribb from Forts Pond Elementary, and she is establishing the Outdoor Learning Garden. It's a project that will introduce students to sustainable ways of gardening within small spaces. All right, next we have from Gilbert Elementary, Debbie Oswald, Gilbert Primary. And she is creating a new garden located in their new outdoor learning commons that will develop STEM and analytical abilities for those students. Next, we have from Meadow Glen Elementary, Jean McKinney. So she's already been recognized for being green. Now you're another way of being green. Thank you. Growing Young Minds in the Garden is that project. And with her funding, she's creating a new vegetable garden with a variety of edible fall plants and install a permanent drip irrigation system. That's pretty high tech. And that's to help improve the sustainability of both the annual and perennial garden plantings. Okay, next from Pillion Elementary is Dana Boozer. And for her fall garden, she will assist with the Pillion Elementary School after-school program. These students will prep, plant, tend to, and harvest the vegetables. And also from Pillion, we have Heather Bradwell. And this is for the first grade gardeners program. This will support the garden for first graders who will maintain 4 raised bed gardens with new plants for the fall season. And from Pleasant Hill Middle, we have Ann Peterson. The growing gardens will provide funds to maintain the current 3 larger gardens, a greenhouse, and a small box garden. Okay, from River Bluff High, we have Amy Price. I think she was also recognized earlier for sustainability. Now, this project is hydroponics to stop hunger. And she will assist marine science students in creating a new hydroponic garden and add to the existing 4 aquaponic gardens. And last, we have from White Knoll High, Sarah Fisher, Growing Careers. The Occupational Credential Program will purchase a greenhouse and supplies for their new career lab. This project will also provide job skills, training to assist students in advancing careers towards their post-secondary goals while educating them and developing healthy food choice habits. So congratulations to you all.
And thank you, Susan and Walter P. Rawl, for everything that you do for our students.
Okay, I promise this is my last presentation. But it's a good job to have to be able to award money. So that's a blessing, good part of my job. I want to recognize, not only have Simeon come up again, but also have Bryce Myers join us, the director of the Lexington Technology Center. And I now have the honor of introducing you to Lou Kennedy. Lou is actually the president, CEO, and owner of Nephron Pharmaceuticals. She's led Nephron, and as a result of her involvement, the company has grown 300% through the creation of a national sales force.
Just forget that. Go Wildcat.
I was going to say she's a loyal USC alum and Lexington High School alum. So we're very glad that she moved the corporation here in 2014, has served on many boards in the community, and she and her husband have been recognized as well for their contributions to USC and other local efforts. So we appreciate her being here, but I'm going to turn the mic over to her because she actually is going to do the next presentation.
Okay. First of all, this is great to hear all about the lead and sustainability, and it goes back to our roots with CWP Rawl. And when I was growing up here and going to school, we were considered a farming community that had Heights Dairy Bar and a barbecue restaurant or two, and we got Hardee's and we thought we'd died and gone to heaven, and then the rest happened after that. And so what I can tell you is I'm very proud of Lexington, maybe not so much the traffic, but I'm very proud of what we've become. I'm so happy to be home after 30 years away from Lexington. I was a Wildcat cheerleader, still very, very proud of my beginnings here. I taught swimming to Anne Marie over here. Let's see, there's probably some other connections, but I would like to say thank you for what you're doing to make this community great. You are the parents of our future leaders. I want to support that. I encourage all the business leaders around town and beyond to support that, and I see some ideas that I need to do a little bit more tonight, and so I'm going to own that. Okay. Anyway, Bryce has been kind enough to help us see some ways or envision some ways that we might help support not only STEM but STEAM efforts in the Technology Center and then across the district. And so we have committed ourselves to doing that, and I want to continue to do that. A lot of the Nephron employees are families that live here in the community, and their students, their children are students here. So we think it's important not only for those kids but also for the rest of the children and, of course, your kids as well. Thank you for letting me be here tonight, and I will say that this year, I think, we're having, I love this check, like, I like to sign checks like that, but we donated $9,000 to the Technology Center to support the pharmacy technology program. We're hoping to see a lot of students have opportunities to become sterile pharmacy techs, and there's no need, if you don't feel you need to go to a 2 or 4 year program, you can finish that and move right into a great paying job straight from high school, and we want to support that. Or if you want to take that program and move it into a technical school education or a 4-year and beyond degree, we think that's important to support as well. So all of those things, we hope we are being a catalyst for those. And again, I see some opportunities, some of the things you're doing, and we should support more. Right, what else?
We're going to take a picture.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I have some great interns that are students of the Salters family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Like, lifestyle.
And Lou, we do thank you so much for your support of our school district and being a graduate. We own you. We're very proud of you. And we are thrilled about the opportunities that you're allowing for a lot of our students. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Lou, I want to say something also. This is real dear to my heart. I mean, I was in second year of pharmacy school before I started taking pharmacology. So to have that kind of opportunity is real special. So I appreciate everything you do.
Well,
That's real
I
nice.
have to tell you, I was always always in such a hurry to get through school, and I could learn in 10th grade the same as I could learn in, sophomore year in college. So why not start it early if you've
That's
got the
unbelievable.
aptitude to do it?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. It's
Yep.
very awesome.
For those of you who may not know, that class costs $300 per student to take. So Nephron's making it possible for those kids who might not be able to take the class otherwise to pursue that option. So we greatly appreciate your support.
So we wanted to say thanks to all of you that donated to the Educational Foundation to make the Bucks for Books grant possible. Our special thanks, of course, to Michelin, to Walter P. Rawl, and Nephron Pharmaceuticals for always supporting our schools. And so with that, thank you for taking the time to be with us, to help us recognize the many honors and achievements of our students and staff and the many generous contributions of our local businesses and community. We love to share our good news with you. Honorees, when you leave the meeting, remember to head to your left into the lobby where you will find a member of the communications office who will help you find your certificate. And just as I promised, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting, or if you need to leave, we will give you a quick and quiet moment to do that now. Okay. Well, the next item on our agenda is citizens' participation. And Ms. Hill, do we have any cards?
We had no cards turned in.
Okay, all right. Anyone want to speak with the board could have picked up a card outside. So we're going to, okay, well, I won't read any of that then. Item 10.0 are action items. And I will go to Ms. Hill for 10.1, the second reading of our 2019-2020 academic calendar.
So I'm filling in for Dr. Talley today. And this, as you remember, is a continuing discussion. So we brought to you the 1920 academic school calendar back in May for second reading, but there was some discussion about spring break and when it fell and when it might fall and whether it needed to change. And there were some opinions voiced at citizens' participation in some of the following conversations. So we decided to, at your request, we decided to get a larger pulse of what the feeling was in the community. So we surveyed all our parents. We have an online registration system that parents use to fill out all their paperwork and often pay their fees and everything before school starts. And so what we did was we added a question to that paperwork asking them one of these. They had to make a choice between option 1 or option 2 as far as it applied to spring break. So you can see that option 1 involved keeping it spring break around Easter, either that Easter weekend would anchor it on the beginning or anchor it on the end. And so we also told them that we would do everything we could in either option to protect the Friday of Easter and give it to them. So either option would have had that. And then option 2 was to tie spring break more directly to the end of the third 9 weeks, which is also the end of the third of the academic quarter, or shortly thereafter, that it would have been based on that criteria. So we surveyed the parents first through online registration, and 22,872 parents responded, and of those, 16,186 chose option 1. And then we surveyed the staff, and the staff in a separate survey. We have about not quite 4,000 employees, and so we had almost 2,000 of those reply. 1,847 responded, and of those, 1,094 chose option 1. And so you can see that overall, we had 17,280 people choose option 1, which is about where we had 7,432 choose option 2. So option 1 overwhelmingly won. It was about 70% of the entire 24,719 that were actually surveyed in the combination of the 2 surveys. So we are presenting, I'm presenting on behalf of Dr. Talley, the recommendation that we move forward with the 2019-20 academic school calendar as it's presented. You have it before you, and that is, as it was originally, ties spring break to the Easter.
Well, I want to thank you, Ms. Hill and Dr. Talley, because this was brought up last spring. As we looked, we knew that we couldn't change it this year, but we went to the following year to see if there could be a change. We were getting a lot of feedback from the community, but we like having the official data, and we know that that took time for you to make that survey and make, you know, and collect and tally the results and so forth. But we feel like we are truly doing what our community wants us to do with that calendar. So with that, do I hear a motion to approve the calendar as presented?
Madam Chair, I move that the board accept the administration's request to approve the 2019-2020 academic school calendar as presented by Dr. Talley by way of Mary Beth Hill.
Thank you, Ms. Green. And do I have a second? Second. Okay, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any discussion or comments, board?
Yes, I would just like to thank the parents who, brought this to our attention. I know we had several parents come speak to us, and they talked in the schools on the school improvement councils and the the PTA groups, and they asked that we consider this. And I think it's so important that we listen to that feedback, and we went back to the community and assessed the community. So I want to thank y'all for that.
Anyone else?
Also, I think we're all aware of all the constraints and logistical, yes, that the state puts on us, and it's nice to see that the first semester finishes before the Christmas break too, because when that isn't able to happen, we get a lot of feedback around that. So thank you.
And I know that we will be advocating for autonomy for our own start dates with legislators this year. That's one thing I think that we're going to be bringing to their attention again. So as far as the start date.
Well, and as a parent, I'd like to say that just the calendar that we is on the table has a nice little long weekend in March, as well as the spring break where we've traditionally had it. And as a parent, that spring stretch is a long haul, and everybody's tired. And I think that's going to be a nice little addition to our calendars to have that long weekend in March. So.
Okay.
As long as there's no ice or snow.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, with that, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Item 10.2, I'll go back to Ms. Hill for student travel request.
Yes, so once again, I'm impersonating Dr. Talley, and I'm bringing to your attention tonight 6 student travel requests. Dr. Talley has reviewed each in particular because you usually ask about chaperones and the ratios of males and females. All are in compliance with board policy, and she is seeking your approval for those 6 student travel requests.
Okay. And board, these were in your board packet. Do I hear a motion to approve 6 student travel requests as presented?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the 6 student travel requests via Dr. Talley and from the schools and accept their recommendations.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Smith. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Any discussion, comments?
I'd just like to mention, of the 6 requests, there are 4 for golf, 1 for science, and 1 for student government. And I'm always just so impressed at how our student travel requests reflect the diversity of what we offer in our district. Mm-hmm. It really is a good snapshot of just the opportunities that our students have.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Item 10.3, I'll go to Mr. Butler. It is a bond resolution to sell bonds.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Little. This is basically standard operating procedure. It has been something we do annually for the past 12 or 13 years. Back in 05 and 06, there's some installment purchase revenue bonds that were issued. And so these are short-term 8% GO bonds, short-term being around 6 months, where we issue the bonds and we make the payments for those IPRB payments. And then when we get the tax dollars in at the start of the year, we pay those bonds off each year. It's kind of a way to leverage the funding that we did back in 05, 06. So basically about 6.15 million of these bonds will go to pay for those IPRB bonds. The remaining 7.7 million can be used for other projects, and typically that money has been used for ongoing maintenance and repairs, those type of issues. So that's kind of how we've been funding our maintenance program, whether it be for HVAC repairs, roof repairs, whatever it might be, the needs across the district to address those needs. So that's the resolution. So we would recommend approval of that.
Okay, and Mr. Butler, do I understand that the funds for this would be available to us if it passes in October, and we would have everything paid back in March?
That's correct.
Okay, all righty. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve this recommendation as presented?
Madam Chair, I move that the board agree to the issuance and sale of not exceeding $13,973,000 general obligation bonds of Lexington County School District Number 1, South Carolina, in one or more series to provide for the issuance and sale not exceeding $1,150,000 bond anticipation notes of Lexington County School District Number 1, South Carolina, to prescribe the purposes for which the proceeds thereof shall be expended, to provide for the payment thereof, and other matters relating thereto.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
And I think that I should get a little something from going through that without stumbling one time.
All right, excellent presentation, Mr. Anderson.
I am too.
All righty, okay. 10.4, we'll be going back to Ms. Hill, and this is for your own job, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
this is,
All
in
right.
this case, I have switched back to my original identity.
Okay,
And we are presenting to you second reading of policy BE, board meetings. And as you remember, this is all part of the recodification process and updating our policies so that they reflect current law and so that they can be identified no matter where you are in the United States with the same board policy numbers and identification. In doing that for this policy, you'll notice that it includes specific information about board meetings, but it also will replace 7 of our existing policies. So the 7 just become the 1, and the 7 will cease to exist. So the ones that will cease to exist are BC, BCAA, BCAB, BCAC, BCAE, BCBA, BCBF, and so those will go away. You'll notice in some of those 7 that some of them only were a 1-paragraph policy. And so it is as we go through this recodification, it's a much more streamlined and much more effective process and clearer so that you have to go to less places for the same information.
excellent. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the recommendation as presented?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Powers. Do I have a second? Okay, thank you, Ms. Backman. Any discussion? I'm all in favor of getting it all in one place. All righty, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Item 10.5 will go to Mr. Caldwell, Chief Student Services Officer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Little. We'll be bringing forth several policies tonight for a second reading and seeking your approval. The first one is policy, these are all health-related, health services-related policies. The first one is policy JLCC, communicable and infectious diseases. As a reminder, this is an update that we've done to reflect changes in state law, and it also includes our exclusion practices. There were no questions or edits made from the first reading, so I am bringing this forth to seek your approval. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the recommendation as presented?
Madam Chair, I move the board approve policy JLCC, communicable infectious diseases, as presented by Mr. Caldwell.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Powers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Any discussion?
Well, I just think it's very important with the technological changes that are happening in the health industry, that I appreciate Mr. Caldwell and his group keeping an eye on that, because some of these, the use of the epinephrine auto-injectors and things like that, we just have to stay right on the money with those things, so thank you.
Thank you, and that one is forthcoming.
Okay, all righty. Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. And I will stay with Mr. Caldwell.
Okay, the second policy I'm bringing forward for the second reading is policy JLCDA and the accompanying admin rule, individual health care plans, also known as IHPs. This is a new policy we're bringing forward. It is modeled from the School Board Association's template. The Department of Ed, South Carolina Department of Ed, and DHEC have revised their approach to IHPs, and this policy now supports our practice that we've had in play for quite some time.
Okay.
with the changes suggested through DHEC and the Department of Ed, and I am seeking your approval. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. IHC's individual health plans, health care plans. Do I hear a motion to approve the recommendation as presented?
Madam Chair, I move we approve policy JLCDA, individual health care plans, as presented by Mr. Caldwell.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Powers. Do I have a second?
There's two parts to that policy, so let's
Also,
make sure we say both of them.
And the admin rule -R.
I apologize. So, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the policy JLCDA and JLCDA-R, individual health plans, as presented by Mr. Caldwell.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. I'll go back to Mr. Caldwell for policy JLCDB, use of epinephrine auto-injectors.
Thank you. This also is a new policy that supports our practice, and I would highlight that it does contain information about SAVE, S-A-V-E. SAVE stands for Safe Access to Vital Epinephrine Act, which allows us to stock EpiPens in all of our schools, which we do.
Great to hear.
So I had no request for changes or for that particular policy, so I bring it forth seeking your approval.
Okay, all righty. Do I hear a motion to approve the recommendation as presented?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to try to approve policy JLCDB, use of epinephrine auto-injectors, as presented by Mr. Caldwell.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Powers. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 10.8, we'll stay with Mr. Caldwell for JLCE, first aid and emergency care.
Again, this is an update to a current policy that we have, and it reflects changes in state law. Seeking your approval for this one also.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the recommendation as presented?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the policy JLCE, first aid and emergency care, as presented by Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Backman. Any discussion? We'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Item 10.9, we'll go back to Mr. Caldwell, JLCF, school nurses.
Interestingly enough, we never had a policy about school nurses, although we've always had school nurses. So this is a new policy. It supports our current practice related to school nurses and school health services. And again, no edits or questions were raised after first reading, and so I bring it forth to you again for seeking approval.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Do I hear a motion to approve the recommendation as presented?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept policy JLCF, school nurses, as presented by Mr. Caldwell.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pitts. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say I grew up without school nurses. We did not have them in my schools, and I think that is one of the best improvements we have made in public education. So they're just such a vital part of our schools, and we really appreciate them.
I think Amy would second that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I would add our end game's obviously instruction, but healthcare is advanced as well as survivability. And so now we have a lot of kids with ongoing medical needs. And so in order to have them present and listening for instruction, we got to meet those needs. So there's a lot of work in this space. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Item 11.0 is the superintendent's update, and we'll go to Dr. Greg Little at this time.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm not sure if you were paying attention, but today was actually the first day of school. I know it comes to you as a shock and as a surprise, but we are very excited about today. This is like our Christmas and New Year's and all those really great holidays wrapped up into one. What an exciting day. It was an exciting start. We just had going from school to school today. There was certainly an energy and excitement about the start of school, and we are thrilled that the 18-19 school year has kicked off. I know today, I certainly went to Pleasant Hill Elementary and Lexington High School, where my third grader and 10th grader had their first days of school. I was also able to go to Gilbert Primary today and see Mr. Will Moody on his first day of school, our new principal at Gilbert Primary School. I also took a little detour to Mount Horeb. They had a day one prayer group of moms that got together that were praying for our students, praying for our schools, and praying for our communities. It was non-denominational, just a group of moms coming together. And I'll tell you, that's a powerful, powerful thing when moms come together like that. And so I was able to just put my head in there. And then also went to New Providence, Lexington Middle, and Midway. We kind of knocked those out. They were all in a line. I'm really proud to tell you that our central services went to every campus today. We were represented on every campus today, so it was really exciting to reach out to our schools as they start this, the hustle and bustle of the school year. And now what we really want is to make sure day 2 is just as exciting. And day 45 and day 78 and day 92 and those kinds of things. We want to make sure that there's an excitement about coming to school each and every day. We just want a few more people to ride school buses instead of everybody trying to drive at the same time. That's always one of the favorite things early on. It has been a really smooth start. Certainly we've had our blips like we normally would. Transportation is school buses, getting that whole process, people getting used to that. That'll continue to round itself out. I do want to take a moment here to recognize specifically our law enforcement community. They are essential for us starting school. There was a law enforcement presence on every campus that I went to today. And I know after speaking to our senior leadership team and other members of Central Services, they were very visible out at other schools as well. And in addition to that, I know when you drop off at Pleasant Hill Elementary School, having that police officer there, that sheriff's deputy, I guess, I know that's kind of a thing sometimes between the two of them, the sheriff's deputy, that was directing traffic there was absolutely vital, was able to keep traffic moving. So we have a tremendous partnership with our law enforcement community, and I have to tell you that this afternoon, the sheriff called just as dismissal time, and we reflected upon the day, and having that kind of relationship and that kind of partnership really is impactful for our schools, and we're very thankful for that, for our law enforcement community. So the first day of school has started, and just extremely excited, ready for tomorrow. I bet right now both my kids are fast asleep because I'm sure they are exhausted after their first day of school, but it's so exciting to get started again. I would also want to talk to you a little bit about, if you'll recall, we've talked a couple times about the Palmetto College and a potential partnership with the Palmetto College. I want to let you know that that is moving forward. Our MOU has been signed, and that the Palmetto College is planning on moving into an annex portion of the Lexington Middle School campus. So just to be clear, originally we were talking, if you're looking at the building, so if the clock is the building, we were originally talking about a building space on the right-hand side of the campus. After further review, we decided on building space on the left-hand side of the campus because that place is more isolated and has separate facilities with separate restrooms, and so there is no crossover among the students who may be attending that school and our own students. So it's a completely separate piece, but we are excited about this potential partnership. They're really doing a soft launch in fall 1 and a harder launch in fall 2, and certainly up and running by January. They're going to try to offer 4 or 5 classes here to begin with. We're going to treat this more as a pilot program as opposed to full-blown implementation. Really, I think the approach is more of a measure twice, cut once thing, taking our time, seeing how it works. There's probably still a ton of questions. I know Mr. Salters and staff have been working with that group, but really the idea is, just to be honest with the board, I really think this is a game changer for our community. It's amazing to me when I first moved here, and again, only been in here for a couple of years, that there was no higher education presence in the heart of Lexington, in this fast-growing community with people from all over the country moving in. I was shocked that we didn't have a technical college or a small college or liberal arts college or anything like that here. And so having the Palmetto College, having a presence on our campus, and again, it's not just for our kids. I want to be clear about this particular piece to it. We have partnerships with the Palmetto College where our children go and take college classes. That's not this. This is if, say, if Jeff's son came home for the summer and wanted to go, he's a graduate, Jeff's son's a graduate, and wanted to take another class, he could go take a class at this college. Or if you had a relative or a friend that started college but didn't finish, they could go take these classes instead of going downtown to the main USC campus. And if I'm not mistaken, the Palmetto College also offers about 14 majors, and there'll be a blended, they do most of their work is online, but for this it would be more of a blended approach. And we are working with them to see if we can take advantage of other things for our children, but this really is for adults and for having a higher education presence on campus. We started this conversation, that actually may be the first time I met the mayor. I shook his hand and we went out to eat, and he gave me this pitch about this whole idea of doing this. And so to see that work really 2 years in the making come to fruition with this small pilot program, and it's a small thing. I just, to be honest, it is a small thing, but at the same time, I think these are very important steps and a very important piece of the puzzle that I think really can serve Lexington for now and into the future. So this is a project that I'm really keeping my fingers crossed. I want to see it nurtured. It's still so small right now, but it's really something that if it takes roots and can really grow, and there's a need for it in the community, I really think this can thrive. So just absolutely, again, I think it's a real game changer for our students. It's a real game changer for our community that there's a higher education presence now in Lexington 1. So if you're driving past there and you see some signage go up, they're putting some things in. Again, we're taking really small, just to be clear again, we're taking very small, slow steps to get this thing started. But the idea is those small, slow steps then can really root the idea and the program, and then it can really begin to grow and flourish. So one other element, just in terms of safety, I know student safety has been a big talk from our end about having other people on campus. Right now, the courses are offered in the evening, so that there's not even a crossover between our students and their students. They're on two different schedules. So again, small steps. Student safety is certainly always a major concern for us, and I can certainly assure the board that we will never do anything in this partnership that would ever endanger our own students. So those are part of the conversations, and we're certainly working in that direction.
Do you see that as a fit for our employees, as a step for them for continuing education?
Absolutely. So if you think about what this partnership could be, right, and you're talking about you're really talking about what's possible and what we could dream. One of the things we've talked about is the idea is how cool would it be that our teachers could come take graduate courses in our district and not have to drive everywhere. They could do it as cohorts. Sometimes it's easier to do it as a group as opposed to trying to do it, on your own. These are all dreams that we have that one day it could happen. Again, right now it's just 4 or 5 classes. It's a little bitty seed. Susie was talking about seeds earlier. This is just a little bitty seed. But I really believe it could grow into those elements that we could see as big dreams. And really, too, just to share another big dream is to think about our adult education classes. Mm-hmm. Those adults who are coming back and are graduating with their high school degree or their GED, maybe then could just go straight across, and they're then in college.
That would be amazing.
And they can continue their education right then and right there. So there's some really cool, neat, big ideas that can come from this. But again, we're starting small, and we're going to take slow and steady is what we're doing right now with the project. Finally, I just wanted to remind the board, also when thinking of something that has, what I think is pretty exciting, is don't forget that our rolling study hall ribbon cutting is September the 10th. That's coming up. I want to make sure that'll be down in Pillion, at Pillion Middle School. People may or may not be right. You may get a bus ride out of this thing or not. We're not really sure yet. I know there's some excitement about that, but you're going to see the rolling study halls in action. And just for background of the group that's here, we have bus routes in our school district that are quite lengthy. And so Google has provided us with access points, with equipment, and money for tutors so that those kids, when they're riding on the bus for an hour, hour and a half, they can have access and so they can do their homework. And Chromebooks, yes, and equipment, yes, and the Chromebooks. If you think about the idea of having an hour and a half commute to work every day, both morning and evening, is about 3 hours a day. So 3 hours a day times 5 is 15. That's 15 hours. You're really talking about 2 extra school days if you're riding 3 hours on the bus each day. So it's a pretty long week for those kids. And so being able to be connected, do their homework, having a tutor right there on the bus, we really then can assist those students. And by the time they get home, maybe they're done with all that stuff, and then they don't have to worry about it when they get home. So
I'm anxious to see what kind of effect that has positively on behavior.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Have we started training our bus drivers that are going to be heading these particular rolling buses?
So we did a soft launch last year. So we've already had some, so a little bit. So, and technically, I think they're starting now. So.
Okay.
They'll have some, well, maybe not today, but they're starting here soon too. And so they've had, the tutors really the ones that have had the most training. But of course, the bus drivers love it because always having a second adult, the hardest thing about driving a bus is you're looking forward and everybody that you're trying to pay attention to is behind you. And that's a challenging time. So they'll have extra hands on the bus and those kids are working on it.
Well, I can't help but think what a blessing this is for those parents, because the kids probably, they have to stay up late to do their homework, but if they come home with the homework mostly done, then those, the kids can play, which we want our children to do as much as possible. And bedtimes have got to be earlier. So I think what Mike said about behavior, I think we're going to see some peripheral improvements on things that we're not expecting.
Absolutely. And you think about it too, if I get behind in class or I don't understand something in class, now I've really got to wait till the next day to engage with the teacher again. Now, if I don't understand something, boy, at the end of the day, I'm getting feedback from a tutor and getting help from that tutor immediately. Mm-hmm. I'm not having to wait till the next day where, to be honest, a middle school student remembering a question from the day before to ask tomorrow. I don't know I know you have a middle school student in your home, and I recently had a middle school student in my home, and they just don't think that way. So they need that hands-on approach, and so that rolling study hall piece, we really think has a lot of potential, and we're excited about studying that because that may be something that we expand in the future. So
I think we're probably going to be asked to expand it because I think the word's going to get out, and I think it's going to be a home run.
It's exciting that Google chose us to be a pilot
school.
Well,
if I can talk about that for just a second. So you saw earlier we had a teacher that was recognized as part of a Google certified trainer as part of the Dynamic Learning Project. The work that Pillion Middle School, Gilbert Middle School, Carolina Springs Middle School, and White Knoll Middle School put in to that project opened all these other doors. Their professionalism, the reason Google chose us is because they knew we would do it right. Mm-hmm. And that speaks a lot to our school district. Mm-hmm. We didn't have to fill out all these forms. We didn't have to, understand, they called us and said, we want to do this. It's probably going to cost about $250,000 and we're willing to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And we will look forward to that on the 10th of September.
That's right. So we'll do that 10th of September.
Excellent.
So lots of great things there to talk about. I know that Mr. Salters has a...
Can I ask
yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry to step on your toes. I know the board allocated some funds for a pool of teachers that we really waited to place until basically this week or the last couple of weeks. Can you give us an update on where those needs may have landed and how we responded to the issues where the student population's a little
Absolutely.
greater than we projected.
That's a great question, Ms. Smith, and I should have anticipated that. Yes, thank you. So let me go back just a couple months and to look at the pool of positions that you started to do. When I first got here in 2016, this idea actually took effect. The board came up with this idea that because of growth, you never really know where the kids are coming. They don't show up in these tight little boxes. You'll have 1 year every kid that moves into a school is in kindergarten. But then the next year, every kid that comes to school is like in 3rd grade or something. I mean, it's really bizarre how these patterns work. And so the board identified at that time 10 pool positions to really go out and help fill that need. So if there's, say, more 3rd grade at Red Bank Elementary, you can fill that need there. Or if there's more, if you got a bunch of 5th graders at Carolina Springs Elementary School, you can fill that need there. So this year, we identified pool positions for a couple of reasons. So we always keep pool positions around to help our special ed classes because that's typically one of the things that changes and grows the most from year to year. We also identified positions for interventionists. So we were able to place 8 additional interventionists this year, and we ranked that by need. And we captured our biggest 8 where we saw kids that were needing to be served and needed extra help but were not being served at those schools, and we were able to do that. The other element that we try to do is, if you'll recall last year, we reduced class sizes in 1st and 2nd grade and got those down to about 21 or 22 to 1. That was the idea. Well, this year, what we looked at is we took 3 of those pool positions and placed them in kindergarten classes. And as of yesterday, we were at 22 to 1 average across the district. So our formula for that is really 26 to 1. But again, 26 kindergartners on paper look one way. 26 kindergartners in a classroom looks very different. And so knowing that we are now, we've reduced those class sizes, K1, kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade over the last 2 years, I really think is an exciting development for this school district. The feedback I receive when I visit schools time and time and time again, the #1 piece of feedback is our class size. Mm-hmm. So it's not something, to be clear, it's not something that we will be able to fix overnight, but I so much appreciate how this board is being flexible and adaptable in how we can address this over time. Again, we're not going to get there tomorrow, but a little work last year, a little work this year. Next year we continue that work. But right now, when you look at our K1 and 2 groups, it's really much more manageable than it was even just a couple of years ago, and you're to be commended for that.
And I want to thank you, and I want to thank Mr. Stacy and his team and the principals, because that's pretty hard, right at the last minute, trying to fill these positions and get these classrooms up and running. And I know that the parents love it because they don't like those classrooms where they feel like they're bursting at the seam.
Immersion classes don't fall in that 22 to 1. We have to front load those, because over time, when kids are in an immersion program, if we lose them in 1st or 2nd grade, we lose them.
Yes.
So that they are at 25 to 1.
Okay.
They will go. I have a really loud voice anyway, but I was just saying the immersion, we have to front load those, because over time they tend to lose students. They move out of district. So those stayed at 25 to 1 because we don't add kids to those sections as they go forward. But all the regular ed kindergarten classes across the district as of yesterday were 22 to 1 or less. And then we have some that are a lot less than 22 to 1. So we really do thank you for your foresight there.
Thank you for that question. Yeah, we've done a lot of good work with class sizes, and we're excited about that. We're going to continue to work on that, and with the interventionists. That was a big hit this year, too.
I know that's near and dear to Mrs. Knight's heart as a former kindergarten teacher. So,
and you really know that your class size is tied to achievement directly. that gives those teachers the time they need to work with those younger students. And I appreciate you making that happen.
Thank you very much. That was a little longer report than I normally give, but again, first day of school, it's easy to be excited about things that are happening in Lexington 1. I know Mr. Salters has a lot of pictures for you tonight, so this is going to be a really great show and tell experience for us, an operations update. So sit back and really we're going to look at all the work that's been done over the summer in just like rapid succession. So here we go.
Yeah, that's my cue to be quick. And I'm going to take you on a quick tour around the district. We do have a number of projects that were completed this summer. We've got some pictures, and we have a list of projects at each location. Don't have pictures of everything, so don't panic, but it will. We will go quickly through this. Obviously, our first and most significant project going on right now is our new middle school site. You can see this is changing almost daily. We decided to not let Dr. Little have announced visits out there. Every time he says he's coming to do a tour, we get 3 inches of rain the night before. So he is 2 for 2. We're going to now do unannounced visits and hopefully hide from the rain. But you can see a lot of progress going on that site. We've got our gymnasium area here really taking shape, and in fact, it's up to steel bearing height even today. So these pictures are just from last week, but we've got a lot of slab. This is a locker room area here ready to be poured, and it's actually poured now. And in this area here, the auditorium is being formed and foundations being put in. So really a lot of progress made. Roofing is starting on our cafeteria area and the kitchen space. And so if we can keep the rain away, we can really start going. I was out there this morning, and there were easily probably over 400 people on that job site working in different areas. And I mean, it just looked like a bunch of ants in an anthill, really making progress. So very excited about the work going on at that campus. Couple more shots here, and then we'll. This is the long loop road that we're required to install by all the school facilities. You can see we actually have the binder course of asphalt down there, and that's basically blocked off for regular traffic. But the contractor want to try to go ahead and get that done and make some progress. This upper area here is the play field for our PE, and they probably will practice football there like our other middle schools do. So starting around the district, or our quick tour here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a school name, and then as an example here, I'm going to give you a list of projects, and then we may or may not have a few pictures of some of these projects. So at Deerfield Elementary School, these are some things that we've worked on this summer. And again, you guys have done a number of motions over the course of the summer and in the spring to kick off a lot of this work. But you'll see a lot of this work is around safety and security. So we've got some additional door locks, 3M security film. This is a glazing that goes on windows and doors. And we've done some learning commons equipment upgrade across the district. Playground resurfacing will end up happening at all of our elementary schools. And this is a really key component. Our schools, this is a big challenge for us, and those of you who've been around elementary schools know this. And we've gone to a rubberized surface under our playground equipment. It's the safest surface for falls and that type of protection. So we're very pleased to be able to move to that. We are moving to, it's labeled as a buzzer system, but it's a security system where all of our perimeter doors will be locked, and we have a buzzer and a camera. You'll have an intercom, and so if you, other than take in, take out times during the day, when you come up to the school, you're going to have to be announced to be buzzed in, if you will, into our secured entrance area. And then some of our schools were able to pick up some additional furniture that they needed for growth and or some replacement as we went around. So this is a good shot of that playground resurfacing. And it actually looks more like a mulch, but it's a nice rubberized product. Depending on use, you can get 10 to 15 years out of some of the materials, some of them even longer. And so it really makes a huge difference. Whereas in a situation like this, we were hauling in loads of mulch every year. and struggling to keep it, in this case it was mulch, struggling to keep that mulch, under the equipment, and then it gets rutted out and sand gets mixed in. And this is a very durable surface, and also, as I said, the best benefit to it is the fall. It's a very cushioned fall versus falling on mulch, and it's an even thickness all the way across, which is very important. And as you know, with sand or mulch, it can be disturbed and moved around. This cannot, so that keeps that focus there. Gilbert Elementary School, we did some work there with waterproofing, some other things, repainting parking lots. You'll see that theme come across. Some asphalt repairs. And this is the two-story building there. We've had some water penetration on that wing, and so spent some time waterproofing some of those, or all of that wing, really, and some interior classroom materials that were showing signs of water damage. So all of that was replaced and sealed up. And I know those teachers are very excited about that. New paving done at Gilbert Elementary School. Gilbert High School, number of different projects there, a lot of little things. One of the big things there we were able to do was replace the carpet in the classrooms with our VCT, our tile, and our teachers are really excited about that move. It's just easier to clean, and they feel like it's a better environment to learn in when they have that tile floor. So we're able to do that. Did some repainting of parking lot lines, and there's some new fencing there. Also at our high schools, we're implementing a lightning detection system. It's much more efficient and accurate way to deal with lightning detection at our campuses versus just using your phone and your applications on your phone.
Which high school is this?
This is Gilbert High School.
Oh, okay, Gilbert. I'm sorry.
Yep. And so here's some additional fencing that was installed there. This is down around the athletic area and the bus parking. Some new water heaters. You'll notice on the right, these are tankless water heaters. You may be familiar with those. Some of your homes may have those. We're trying to move to this style water heater where possible. In a lot of cases, we have gymnasium locker rooms and so forth that don't get a lot of use, but we're creating and maintaining hot water in large capacities for it just to sit there. That's just kind of the older model and older style, and these newer models, of course, it's inline, just-in-time hot water, and so we don't have to store and maintain that water, so it's much more efficient. In some cases where the water's used constantly, we're still using the larger capacity, water heaters for storage, but you're seeing more of that moving around. Dr. Powers?
And everyone knows I'm a big school funding push, but so what that translates, though, is that we build those water heaters with capital funds, which tax owner-occupied houses, and our operating costs go down, which saves money for our businesses.
That's correct.
Yeah, so the more we can do that as a district to save on operating through capital expenditures, the better we'll partner with our business community and tax where our operational costs are coming from, which is our kids and their houses. So, so that's good.
That's a good point. This is one of the classrooms where we replaced the VCT. Of course, that was done across the building. Again, that's a much better maintenance environment for the students as well. Gilbert Middle School.
Did we take those TVs down at Gilbert High School, or are they still up there?
I'll have to check on that.
They just look like dinosaurs sitting up there.
I'll check on that.
I know they're heavy and it's hard to recycle them, but they just look.
Yeah. Gilbert Middle School, a number of projects there. A big project replacing the intercom. A lot of, again, parking lot, some security upgrades there. Some fencing to control better access to our loop road and so forth between the schools there. Some locker room, girls and boys lockers were replaced at that school. School's over 20 years old now, actually more than 20 years old. So those lockers were replaced. We're reworking the secured entrance here and a couple of other locations to move the employee that sits in that space out of the direct secured foyer. So we're creating a kind of a vestibule for them to sit in and then still maintain that access. So this is the beginnings work of that. You can see the new basketball court coating there. Gilbert Primary, again, a number of security features there. Big thing, you'll see this done at a number of schools, replace that multipurpose room carpet with the sports floor. Makes a huge difference in those spaces. Again, some hot water heaters, some ADA curb access improvements in our helping with getting ADA students in and out of the campus there. Shot of the playground surfacing at that facility. Multipurpose, there's a sports floor there. And then overall parking and repaving at Gilbert Primary School. I mean, you can remember that campus, if you've been there recently, that parking lot was really chewed up. So we're able to repave that whole area and restripe it. So that really helps a lot with traffic flow. Lake Murray Elementary School, again, continuing with the security theme. We also have some safety. We've added some roof ladders there to help our custodial staff and others inspect the roof more safely. Secured foyer work here we're doing, and then the 3M safety glass as well. Those are the ladders. Here's the secured entrance. This is actually in a guidance room that's behind the secured entrance, but it's going to become an office for that person to sit, and that'll be the window where they pass through to our visitors coming in. Lexington Middle School, new PA system, some work in the theater for our fire alarm panel and so forth, and a few other things. At Midway, number of projects going on there. Some safety, security again. We did a lot of work in the parking lots there. Last year, you recall, we replaced all the HVAC systems in the classrooms. We finished the HVAC units in the commons areas this summer, as well as replacing the windows. And then here's a shot of some of the secured foyer work. Kind of looks like a mess, but there's actually a method to that madness. Again, moving that person out of that central vestibule there. There's a look at the new windows that have been installed, and some of the HVAC units in the commons areas being put on the roofs. And then here's the new parking lot repaving. So all of that was repaved and restriped.
Yeah. And again, the more efficient we can get with heating and cooling our buildings, that's good for us.
Absolutely. And new units are much more efficient, which results in decreased power bills.
It's hard to believe that school's already 24 years old.
That's right.
What I just have to say, because I drive by Midway all the time, and even my children, the parking lot repaving, it's amazing the curb appeal improvement that makes to the school campus.
Right.
You don't realize just how much the paving affects how the school looks.
Right.
So beat up.
And it really has made a big difference.
And we mentioned HVAC and energy savings, and just as a side note, we were able to receive the credit that I'm sure many of you received if you're SE&G customers. We received that on our bills, and it's going to be a substantial savings for the district over the looking back over those months that they did the look back on, and it's 15% going forward. So it's several $100,000.
That is terrific.
That we're receiving on that. Moving to Meadow Glen Elementary School, playground resurfacing there and some safety film. Again, Meadow Glen Middle School, some additional cameras. Shades in the Learning Commons, that was a big issue for them. We're piloting the buzzer system at that campus as well. Those are not actually installed yet, but they will be here soon.
What did you say the security glass film is?
It's a 3M safety glass. This glass is not, it's a film that goes on glass, and you can watch videos on YouTube. This is not a bulletproof glass, but it provides basically a deterrent for, you can take bullets and you can shoot that window and then you still can't get through it. If you shot up a window like this window right here, it would just push out of the way. With this 3M safety film in there, you can shoot the window and you still can't get through it. Any security element that you add to, or layer that you add to a building, it's all about creating time. because you want to create response time for law enforcement to get there. And so in the videos that you see, glass and film similar to this, it takes about a minute, minute and a half for someone to, shoot it with an AR-15 and then try to push it out and try to get through it. So it really is about creating time. This is just one of many security features that we're moving to in all of our schools.
I saw I think it was on WIS, that new elementary school in Lexington too. They put in some, I think it's bulletproof glass in that brand new school they just opened yesterday. Is it the film or is it bulletproof glass?
I'm not sure. I'm not
but
sure.
It was the demonstration they did on the segment was very impressive.
Yeah. There's a lot of different technologies that are coming out, and some retrofit things you can do that are pretty easy and quick to install, and then
so
some
how many
more
windows
complicated.
did you put it on? All of them, or just across the front, or how did you decide which?
I'll just say yes. We've secured the areas that we believe are the most important.
Okay.
Kind of don't want to get too deep into that.
I agree. I shouldn't have asked that.
No, that's fine. New Providence Elementary School, we did some some security upgrades there. The sports floor, in their building, a new sports floor, the multipurpose room, and cleaned up. You can see at the top there, those air diffusers, that tile, all that got cleaned up as well in that space. Oak Grove Elementary School, again, security. We replaced the PA system there over at Paging System. Sports floor made a huge difference in the look of that space. Pelion Elementary School, a number of projects going on at Pelion Elementary School. Some of them are still going on. We will actually have a new front desk area. The secured foyer area, which is a picture here, was created. It had a door here, but the person, if someone came in, the person has no way to get out. And so we've created a door here, reworked this counter, put a wall up here so that they're protected and could retreat if they needed to. So really trying to focus on the safety of our employees as well. New flooring in the older wings of Pelion Elementary School. We're moving the carpet there.
That looks really good.
Yeah, they're super excited about that. Multi-purpose room has the sports floor in it. Some parking lot striping. If you've been out there, you could not see the lines. I mean, it's just kind of a free-for-all, so we've been able to do that. That's made a big difference. Playground fencing. They have a large playground on that campus, and we're able to fence that off and better protect and manage the students in that area while they're outside.
When we were out there last year, several of the parents approached us and said they had a little bit of a problem with stray dogs out there. So I know that'll be a comfort to those parents, because I think we had 2 or 3 mention it to us that night, that they had a real problem with just stray dogs coming up to the playgrounds.
Yeah. Kitchen water heater, large capacity water heater there. Pelion High School, a number of projects there. Again, one of the big projects was replacing that carpet across all of the classrooms with the VCT, and also all of the door locks in that campus were replaced. It was an interesting lock configuration where the teachers couldn't lock the doors from the inside without having a key, and so that does not help us in our lockdown situation. So those were replaced to meet our standard. Again, new water heaters, again, the tankless water heaters used in this installation. There's a shot of the classroom floors there. Those will look like that 20 years from now with the staff at Pelion High School.
Yeah.
They do a phenomenal job.
The cleanest school ever.
Yeah. Pelion Middle School, some good projects there that we were able to put in some furniture and some other equipment that they really needed, a scrubber and lawnmower and so forth. Red Bank, again, playground surfacing. We did a lot of work on the sports floor, the entrance and ADA accessibility at this campus was very limited, and so we've improved that significantly. And then also some HVAC pump replacement, and then repaving. And this was a major upfit for them, and created an ADA entrance here, which really didn't exist at Red Bank. It was very cumbersome for someone to have to kind of go all the way down the end and come around. So it's much more accessible. Created handicap parking here in the front. So much better traffic flow there. At River Bluff, you just last month approved the the fire access road drive, and that was completed. Again, we're doing some carpet, and there's the fire access road there that's been paved, and that's a major improvement to that accessibility for emergency services for that campus. Rocky Creek, some furniture, playground surfacing, and some repainting of parking lot lines. Saxgotha, number of projects there, again related to security, communication with our new intercom there, new stage curtain, and that really makes a difference in a cafeteria space if you've seen that happen. Again, parking lot lines, and then the concrete planters, you guys did that recently, a motion for that. And this is the planters. They were filled with dirt, caused a lot of moisture issues in the carpet that was adjacent to it. So this area has been tiled, and those planters are now filled in with concrete. So much more environmentally friendly for our students. Same thing at White Knoll Elementary School. We did some parking lot work there, and then here's a shot of the tile and the planter that's filled in. Still got some kind of dress-up work to finish that out.
Why didn't we just take those planters out?
No, why didn't we?
It was basically easier to fill that in, and they wanted that space. Students sit on those benches, and the schools felt like they could make use of them as benches in those spaces. And it was more cost-effective just to fill it in than remove it and deal with the floor patching and all that was going on there.
Well, I said this last month, but we were out there for the summer reading program with Dr. Bissell and all of her teachers, and I mean, you talk about an improvement. Mm-hmm. That whole school just looked great because it had really aged and was so worn. And it was just such an uplift for that school. And
the Learning Commons got new carpet and some new furniture in it. And speaking to your point, there parking lot was in really bad shape.
It was in terrible shape.
And it really was repaved, and the loop drive there is repaved as well. In White Knoll Middle School, number of computers were the focus at White Knoll Middle School. They had some really old labs there. And so we were able to address that need for them. We're also addressing the secured foyer there. Again, a similar situation where the person was sitting out in the secured foyer with the visitors coming in, so we were able to
it just
improve
feels awkward. It's a strange entrance.
Yeah.
May I go back to something you said
yes,
early on? Also, as a reminder to the board that White Knoll Middle School will be a Code to the Future school next year, and also was the importance of them having those labs in order to do the coding work that our kids are going to be doing there next year.
That's exciting.
That's a great point. You can see the parking lot repavements there. Makes a huge difference. And White Knoll High School, number of things going on there. Again, one of the biggest things we did at that campus was replace all the classroom carpet with tile. And that's a huge,
Yay.
huge
That's
huge
awesome.
campus.
Oh my
that
goodness,
carpet
it needed it.
Yeah, yeah.
How does it look? Does it just
looks
look,
great.
Do they love it?
Yeah, they do.
They have to.
Yeah, they're very excited about it. And we've done some other work there that's been outstanding for a while. Here's some of the classrooms. You can see they look really good, ready for students. Big thing that was a real problem for us is this ceiling. The paint on this wrestling room ceiling was coming off and just really causing a mess for student athletes in this space. Every day they were having to sweep paint chips off the wrestling mats, and it was just a real problem. So we were finally able to get that stripped and repainted. It makes a huge difference in that space. It's kind of an ongoing issue for them that has now been resolved. High School also, through their funding, got a new marquee sign. So you'll notice it's here and it sits under, right under here. So it's an electronic sign. We were able to support the installation of that. They bought the sign, we did all the electrical work to get it up and running. So, so that's kind of a quick tour around the district. A lot of projects. Be happy to answer any questions.
That's a crazy amount of stuff to accomplish this summer. Just
Absolutely.
kudos to you and your crew, because that's amazing.
Well, it was really a team effort. A lot of our IT folks are here, and they had a big hand in that. Obviously our construction team, maintenance team, but the unsung heroes of the effort are our procurement and finance folks, because all that work had to be bid out, and we were just shooting a fire hose at them, and they just kept processing it and getting it out, and so we really appreciate everybody's work helping us get it done.
Job well done. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry that Mr. Butler has to follow that. That's a lot of great news. Mr. Salters, thank you for that. Again, thank you for you and your team's work on that. Mr. Butler has...
I don't know why you would think that sole source and emergency annual report would be a letdown after new carpet and new paving and furniture and stuff. So.
But yeah, Mr. Butler has a couple reports for us, and so I'll turn it over to him.
All right, thank you. Once you hear the report, it might be a little bit depressing. Our procurement code requires us to report to the board annually all sole source and emergency expenditures. So this is the report to the board for the fiscal year 17-18 year, showing all the expenditures for sole source and emergency and who those went to. This is just a report only and no action is required, but I'll be glad to answer any questions. All right, you want me to go on to, okay?
You can go ahead.
Okay, the next one is our Minority Business Enterprise, or MBE Annual Report. This also is just a report, no action required. Our procurement code does require us to set a goal for our MBE vendors, and we have done that every year. We, for 17-18, did not quite meet that goal. We do make every effort to meet that goal. We get from the state the list of all certified MBE vendors that's certified through the state. We load every one of those vendors on our system. Anytime there is a bid, we reach out to those MBE vendors. As you can see to the back there's some 60 bids that were done last year where we actually reached out to any MBE vendors we knew and sent that to them. Now, as you can also tell by the ones who have zero behind it, that a lot of those did not go to MBE vendors simply because they were more expensive than the other responsive bidders. Now, the state kind of makes an exception sometimes and goes with an MBE vendor to make their goal, even though it costs more. We've made the decision not to do that. We're going to take the more efficient, less expensive bid, regardless of who it is, as long as they're a responsive bidder. We are making strides in getting closer to that goal, so I'll be glad to answer any questions about that. Okay.
Any questions?
When I want to go out and buy something, I just go buy it. But as policy and part of our procurement, we bid it and we take the lowest bidder. And again, looking at the loan or emergency contracts, I mean, percentage-wise, a very, very, very small part of our budget.
It is.
4 to 5 basis points. 0.04%. So again, because we bid it, we get the lowest price, and I know that's a lot of work. So thank you.
Thank you. And each of those sole source and emergency procurements, I have to sign off on, and they have to show documentation as to why they're a sole source or why it's an emergency procurement It's just not a matter of them submitting some in and the vendor saying no, but we are the only sole source. They do have to provide documentation for that, and I do review each of those and sign off on them, so.
It's a labor of love, but important. So
Yeah.
form drives function, but I think funding and form drives function, so.
That's true. Thank you.
All right, board, item 12.0 are items for board information only. And at this time, I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Backman. All in favor, please stand up. And we are adjourned, and thank you for joining us, and we wish you safe travels home and have a wonderful second day of school as well.